Well, here we are. Hello. Hello, everyone. We're live. We're live. I keep looking at that video and I'm thinking, missing my hair. I keep saying that every week as well. Hello, and here we are, What the Faith. So this week's subject matter is fear. And of course, as we keep revamping this gig, we've got Revo with us. So let's bosh Revo up. So she's there. Hang on. Now you can say hello.
Oh, I can say hello. Hi, everyone. Hello, hello.
So if we got here, we got Kate and Jacqueline so far.
Yep.
See, you might get a couple more tonight. That might be quite good.
Yeah.
So how you doing, Revo? You right?
I'm all right. Yeah, not so bad.
I haven't seen you much today, have you?
Busy day.
Busy day. So it's been a busy week. So I keep looking at this. It's bright, isn't it? It's bright yellow. It's a bit mad, isn't it?
Very bright. Yeah, it's a bit. I don't know.
Bright yellow and blue and red. Yeah. Here's a vote. Can I do polls in chat? Can I top chat? Pop out chat, toggle time steps, top chat, live chat. Oh, okay. You should be able to do polls, shouldn't you? So, who thinks I should create a set for What the Faith? Tell me what you think. Or are you just quite happy with the coloured backgrounds? I keep just like going round in a circle to go from green to blue to purple to probably whatever. Do you think I need to design a proper set for What the Faith? I think What the Faith's getting good, isn't it? It needs something. We need something. Right, anyway. Let's get rid of you for a minute. There you go. You should still be heard. You're in the background. Right. Okay, so fear. It's not tricky, is it? It's quite easy, but it's complex. So I'm going to do the synonyms first for fear. Alarm, angst, uneasiness, suspicion, despair, panic, dread, and jitters. Yeah. Kate says definitely we need to do something with the set. And the antonyms, which strangely enough, actually I'll tell you what, Revo, can you call out the antonyms?
I can. Yeah. So we've got assurance, calmness, ease, confidence, joy, faith, happiness, and trust.
They sound quite biblical, really, don't they, when you think about them as words?
Yeah, there's sort of things that you tend to think faith would help you to be.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
All right, well, we'll crack on to that in about 20 minutes, maybe just after. So, dictionary definition, an unpleasant emotion caused by the threat of danger, pain, or harm.
It's not a positive thing, then.
Yeah, it's more to it than that, though, isn't it? Fear gives you a really uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
I think the obvious thing is fear, or the easy thing to jump to is like, you've got a list, haven't you, of phobias.
Phobias, yeah. Well, fear's the extreme fear, isn't it? Am I coming to come up, or am I just a voice? Yeah. Extreme fears called phobias, aren't they? And a few years ago, I looked up some of these phobias because there's huge lists of them. People can be frightened of anything.
Let me do this.
But they're really long words. Yeah. Okay, all right. So they're really long words. So there's something interesting called, hang on, I need to pronounce this properly, pogonophobia, which is, wait for it, fear of beards. Yeah, fear of beards. But, yeah. There's allium. I think it says allium. Allium phobia, which of course is fear of garlic, well-known fear. And then there's one that might resonate with people with families, and it's ephebiphobia, which is fear of teenagers. Yeah. Yeah. So, but then there's one. This next one is probably not very good if you're a Christian. It's euphobia, which is fear of good news. So, probably not a good thing to have, really, is it? No, I was puzzled about that one, really. I don't know. I don't know how you can be afraid of good news.
Thanks,
unless
Kate.
Unless you're just frightened that it means that it's going to be followed by something bad. Do you know what I mean? Maybe it's that sort of thing. I really don't know.
Fear of good news. Yeah. Sorry, I was muted there for a minute.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I am going to have to sort this preset out, so we're better. It was kind of like an impromptu thing last week. So let's bring Revo in. I was in a lot of pain in my knee. Please know my knee's slowly getting better, so I'm quite pleased with that. So I need to sort this out so we've got a better set. So we'll do that in the next couple of weeks, I think. And
Yeah.
I think we're going to make this a permanent feature that Revo shares this with me, because then I can poke fun at her.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah. So there you
So
go.
go on then. What are you afraid of?
What am I afraid of? Oh. What am I afraid of? I think we talked about this earlier, wasn't it? So I think the biggest fears that I find are the things that I don't have control over.
Yeah.
Which we'll talk again. I don't want to jump into the spiritual side of this at the moment, but when things happen and you're worried, and you're worried about not knowing the outcome of something or something like that. And I don't know if anyone else in chat suffers this. I used to suffer massive by building scenarios of every single probably possible conceivable outcome of something, only to find that 99.9% of the stuff never happened. And I'd actually escalate my own fear and worry. So if anyone knows what a mind map is, it was kind of like this spidery thing, isn't it? Where you say it goes like that and then up there and all this sort of stuff. And I see that there's this option and nothing happens. Sorry, this option and then nothing bad happens. That's 99.9% of the time, that is what happens. But then the other side is all this sprawling mess of the possibilities of things that go wrong. And that would just sit on me and it would cause great amounts of anxiety, being that I'm naturally anxious in the first place. That's one of the things and problems I have to deal with. Is it fear? Is anxiety born from fear? It must be.
I think so, yeah. Because it's like you said something about fear that things go wrong. Like, there's some, I was just reading up on examples and things, and I think it's true for me as well. When you think of something, you think, oh, well, I can't do that because what happens if it goes wrong? There's examples like simple ones, like changing your hair colour, that you might not do it because you might be frightened it goes wrong. Or you might want to, always wanted to, I don't know, write a book or do something about the ordinary, but you're held back because of fear of what might happen. I think that's true of lots of things in life, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're talking about... It's an interesting thing. There's an escalation here, I think, of the different types of actual fear. So there's certain things that I guess that people won't do because they consider the outcome could be bad. But then there's a different thing, which is proper fear, where you have an emotional reaction. You know what I mean? So you don't have that emotional reaction when you think I'm going to write a book or I'm going to show someone some art or something. You don't have that reaction. It's kind of like I'm afraid to. Is that afraid to? Is it something else? What's true fear? Do you know what I mean? And I suppose does that come under? I mean, I Lord only knows what Jenny's going to preach on Sunday, and we'll find out. But is it true fear? Is it sort of some sort of de-escalated fear?
Well, yeah, I suppose there's more of an emotional fear, isn't there? Like if you're in a conversation with someone or you're frightened of upsetting them, isn't it? It's more like you can feel the emotion, isn't it? Whereas, like you said, if it's like, oh, I'm afraid if I change my hair colour, it's not going to look right. You don't really feel that same angst, do you?
No.
No, I know what you mean. There's some things, like I have a fear of heights, which I never used to have. And that is genuine emotion whenever it happens. And I never used to. And the other thing that, when I was thinking about my fear of heights, it made me realise that I think sometimes the things that happen to us in life give us fears, because I never used to have any fear. And then this is years ago.
I think that, I mean, just to point out, I think that happens to a lot of us. When we're young, we are much more fearless than when we are when we get older. Go on, carry on.
So anyway, I was in France on holiday and we went on this, it's like a cable car over a glacier. So you had to get on this moving seat and then someone would put the bar down across you. And I remember getting on this without any fear, really. So we got on this chair and then the bar wasn't put down straight away. And when I looked down, there was this massive ravine, like thousands and thousands of feet. And I actually froze in panic because I thought I was going to fall out.
Yeah.
And I absolutely froze. And so to this day, every time I go or I end up somewhere with a big, that fear comes back. But that is a real thing I can feel. Fear. That isn't just well, yeah, I don't like it. It's a real fear.
And also, when you look at those things, it's not fear of heights; it's a fear of falling.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it is. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
often it's like, I'm not afraid of flying; I'm afraid of crashing.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of, when they look at this and stuff like that. But there is this interesting. Right, let's have a little look. We've got a comment in from Kate. Let's see what this says. Let's start the chat going. Off you go, Elaine. You crack with that.
So Kate says, I have a terror of anybody to do with needles due to a traumatic experience as a child. Yeah.
Has this got anything to do with knitting?
No.
That's what you meant.
No,
A traumatic experience as a child. I'm not even sure I want to ask if you can elaborate on that.
No.
Because, I seem to have had a few needles around me over the last couple of weeks. This, that, and the other, giving some blood tests, and a needle in my knee. That was quite unpleasant. Yeah, it must have been about this big, this needle, and it was like, he didn't do that, but yeah, it was quite unpleasant. So yeah, see, I had work done on my teeth when I was about 10. This tooth is, it's got a gold post that goes into my jaw. And that frightened me off dentists for years. I was terrified of going to the dentist. And, I have to say, I'm not particularly that good at going to the dentist now. No, not very good. But yeah, so things do happen in your life, don't they? Things happen in our lives, and they, we develop fears. Yeah. See, I thought kids, they're out in the garden playing with slugs and snails and spiders and all that. They don't care, do they? Do they? Is it a lot of fears learnt?
Well, maybe, like fear of spiders and mice and things. I think there's not really anything that much, there shouldn't be anyway, to fear about mice. It's not like they attack you or anything, but a lot of people do feel like they're think you don't like them. There's all these cartoon things of people standing on chairs, isn't there, when there's a mouse in the room.
Oh no, reality, birds, lots of stuff. So let's get on to this emotional side of the things that people fear with regards to things in life. A lot of people end up, I guess, that they fear for their future when, say, you're in debt or something like that. And actually, hang on, there's an update to Kate's comment. Let's bring it in. Needle broke in my arm when I was 4, and it's terrified you since.
Yeah, okay. Nasty. Well, yeah, nasty experiences, because you always got this fear it's going to happen again, don't you? Or you don't have to go through it again.
Yeah, it's not good. So, fear of the future. I think this is a lot of the things I think we all get into, partly because of lack of control, partly because of the situation. Again, the situation you're not in control. So if you're in debt, you worry, don't you? You fear for your future. You worry about how you're going to pay the bills. You worry about if the bailiffs are going to come round. I've been in that situation before. I've had people banging on the door, gone unemployed and stuff like that. Not particularly pleasant. What else do you get?
What else do you get a fear of?
Yeah, well, that's an example of stuff. I'm talking about kind of real life experiences of things that people fear.
People have like a fear of flying, don't they? And there's lots of things.
Yeah, but what? Yeah, I'm trying to get. So that example there, when you're in debt or something like that, you fear for what's going to happen to you.
Yeah.
Flying's a phobia. I think I'm talking about like these kind of things that happen, and they kind of periodically kind of go up and down in people's daily life. So if you're in debt or something, it must cross your mind several times a day. That sort of stuff. It's not like flying is just a one-off.
What's going to happen?
So what else could put somebody into a state of kind of perpetual fear for what's going on? So there's debt. There could be things in people's relationships. I think self-confidence can make people fearful. So often, one of the things I do, because I can often put my foot straight in it, is I often worry that I've offended somebody when I haven't. And I think that's part of my ASD, because I can quite easily offend somebody. And if I haven't heard from somebody who I'm expecting to hear from, and I kind of think, well, what have I done? I must have done something to offend them, only to find off again, there's nothing wrong. Here we go, we've got a couple more in here. So this one is fear of rejection, or is that fail?
Fail.
Yeah.
Fail.
Fear of rejection or failing.
Failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think, we all suffer that, don't you? That's the reason why you often sometimes don't do things, because you think, oh, well, I'm not going to be any good at that, so I can't do it. Oh, I can't, you automatically think you can't do something.
Yeah.
Or, that you're not going to be able to do it very well, and I suppose it's like everyone, either you let yourself down, or you might think you might let somebody else down because you're not going to be able to do it. I don't know, if somebody asks you to do something for them.
But fear of rejection, I suppose, yes, it's another one that flips back to self-confidence, isn't it? I mean, at the end of the day, we're all going to get rejected in some form or another, and we shouldn't fear that, We should be bold in what we do, and, okay, maybe it's like asking a girl out. I'm sort of looking, sort of younger man asking a girl out and being rejected, or, maybe writing a book or something. Yeah, that's a good one. It should be fear of failure. Yeah, so failure, so rejection. Oh, here's a really good one from Jacqueline, actually. Health scares.
Yeah.
No, very good.
Very worrying.
Yeah. No, well done, Kate. That's great. Health scares. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a fear, isn't there? If you just think, well, especially if there's something where you've got to have more tests, or this sort of thing, and your mind can go over time, can't it, on what it might be.
Oh yeah, the classic, isn't it? The classic is. The classic is that you've got something and then you look it up. Oh, I'm going to look it up I'm going to Google this wart. And by the time you've Googled everything, that's it.
You're going to die next week.
You'll be dead by the end of the week. Yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Health scares. Yeah, that's us, isn't it? It's, building these scenarios and stuff. But health scares are bad. See, I think it's a typical male thing. I'm not going to doctors. I don't want to go to the doctor because I don't want him to tell me any bad news. Yeah. No, really good one, that health scares. Well done, Jacqueline. So what are the other things that kind of give us this? I think it's part of this kind of, I'm kind of trying to think, like, you get up in the morning and you go to bed at night, and the things that project fear on us throughout our day.
Yeah.
So, some people, I think some people, especially with ASD and stuff, fear going outside and stuff and meeting and talking to people. Some people that are shy struggle in conversation as well. It's another one that puts people in a difficult situation. Yeah, go on. You were going to say something, Elaine. Go for it.
No, I was only going to talk about. I think I mentioned a bit before that. I think you can be fearful for people that you care about, especially your kids, isn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of parents can be really fearful about their children, and especially when they're little, and you have to protect. Part of your job's to protect them, isn't it? Even when they're grown up.
I was like a hawk, innit?
You're still fearful of things that might happen for them, so you sort of try and protect them because you have a fear that they might be in danger or make a mistake or whatever, isn't it? So I think there's something about having a fear for your children, isn't there?
I suppose, is that fearing for their safety?
Yeah, and well-being in general, isn't it? You feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think the well-being thing probably matches really well when you get into sort of like, I guess when your kids leave and all you want to do is your fear is that all you want really for them is for them to be happy.
Yeah.
And your fear is that they won't be happy. I mean, I find that it's not something I can talk from experience, but you can obviously. I've got stepkids in a sense, but which makes it somewhat different. And of course, when ours are doing well, I'm overjoyed and very ecstatic. And I suspect that's a very, very important thing in most parents, really. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was the other thing that came to my head? I suppose there's everyday fears. I think fear of, I suppose it goes back to your scenario building, like if you're trying to do something, like if you're trying to study or trying to take exams and things, or you're in a job and somebody's got expectations on you, isn't it? Oh, well, I need to get these exams to get this, or, my employer says I've got to sell this many things, or whatever it is. I think that can make people fearful, isn't it?
Pressure and stress at work, absolutely.
So what somebody expects of you, and if you're not sure you can quite do it or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's important, isn't it, to be able to make sure that you can set expectations with people. That's important, and people can often, I suppose, in workplaces, they kind of go with what they're told. And, you know, I ended leaving IT, a million years ago after working in IT for a million years. I can't remember, 25 years after IT. You know, yeah, I was on a huge amounts of stress. Big part of my problem. Possibly not me setting expectations, saying yes too many times, that sort of stuff. And what was the fear? I don't know. Is it fear that I would lose my job? No, I don't know. I don't know. I was just thinking one actually. There is the sense of fear of losing your job, isn't there?
Yeah, I think so.
You know, people have that fear. You know, because they. You know, when you think about it, they've got a mortgage and they're looking after their family, and you know, when things are looking tricky and you know things are against people. I mean, it's a difficult world, isn't it? You've got your family to support, you've got your mortgage to pay, you've got all your bills to pay, you've got your kids in school, you've got to make sure that they're happy, you've got a job, you've got to make sure you could do that. You know, all these things are very tough, and yeah, it's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it? That must generate fears in people all the time, every day. So yeah. Anything else from chat? Anyone else wants to chuck in a comment about fears? We're a bit quiet again tonight.
Yeah, where's everybody?
I don't know. When we start, we're going to start not soon. Well, not soon. So at some point, we're going to start actually investing in some advertising, so people will know about us and we'll be able to have a big chat. And in the meantime, we'll stay close to our small community as is, and that's great. And then when we start investing, you know, in that, then you know, so that's why we got to get this set right. I think for that, definitely from Kate, you have to get the set right for What the Faith. I think What the Faith has got some longevity. I think this is going to be good.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I mean, some people are, you know, thinking about fears as well. Sometimes people might ask, you know, what's your biggest fear? There's some big fears in life, isn't there? Like people get afraid of dying, don't they? I suppose it links to health scares, isn't it? Or, you know, some people have a real fear of, I don't know, rejection. I think it depends what's happened in your life as well. Sometimes people have a real fear of like relationships failing and stuff as well because they've been hurt in the past as well. So there's lots of, I think what happens in your past often determines what your biggest fears are. Do you know what I mean? We've all got all sorts of fears, haven't we?
Actually, that's an interesting one because that's almost like skeletons in the closet fear as well, because some of the things that have happened in your past, you want to leave them in the past. You know, fear of things coming out. That's an interesting one from Kate. Fear of missing out.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one, actually. Fear of missing out.
Now, I can look at that in two ways. One, in fear of missing out because I want a piece of that cake. I'd hate to miss out on some of that cake. There's that kind of missing out. But I also think there's the fear of missing out on an opportunity. That's the other thing that brought to me, is that I haven't taken or grasped an opportunity. And, you know, I fear that I've missed the boat or something like that when I should have been stronger and done something about it. That's what I was thinking. What I was saying, I was thinking of something. It was something I've mentioned on here before, which is the imposter syndrome. That's a fear. That's a fear of saying, look, I'm a producer and very, very small part-time presenter for Unleashed Broadcast Church, but as a producer, I'm thinking, how am I getting away with this? How do I know all this stuff? This is nonsense. I'm not really a producer. I've just got a computer and a bit of a, you know, whatever. And I feel that I'm not real. And I think the imposter syndrome, probably people in work and things might feel that, you know, that they don't feel as confident as, you know, how have I been getting away with this job for the last 5 years? You know, I don't know anything about it. How am I doing that? So imposter syndrome is an interesting one. Let's just drop that message. Right, we're coming up to the half time. So, is there anything else you want to sort of, on a secular thought, think that you want to use to bridge this, or?
Well, only that. I mean, if you like, from a secular or an everyday point of view, I just think that, like you said, I think you've like highlighted two types of fear. There's a sort of fear which is more linked to lack of self-confidence, like you might not change your hair colour do something you want to do because you're just frightened that you might not be able to do it right. And then there's the fear that is genuine, that is the heart beating fear, isn't it? That thinking, that actually is a real emotional thing. So I think there's like a distinction between different sorts of fear. But I suppose from a faith point of view, I suppose it's in either case. What difference does faith make then? If we've got things that we're frightened of that they have a physical effect on us, or just things that we just won't attempt to do because we're just frightened of whatever, or because we've been hurt before in life, or there's something awful's happened to us and it's made us frightened of it. I suppose, I think in the Bible there's two sorts of fear anyway, but if you're just talking about the sort of fear we've just been talking about, I suppose it's, what difference does it make? What difference does knowing Jesus make to all that? Because we all still have fears, don't we, whether we have faith or not. And I know that in the Bible, which is a famous statistic, that do not fear is mentioned 365 times in the Bible. So it's a huge theme of being told not to fear by God or by Jesus, so it is.
Any comments in chat, just fire them in, that's fine.
Yeah. So, and there's also lots of reassurance in the Bible about fear as well. So I think that's like, it's not just, it's fear not, isn't it? All these different things in the Bible, and I'm sure everyone can think of things. I mean, one of my favourite ones is the Isaiah 41. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and uphold you. So do not fear, I am with you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. So that's like not just, stop being afraid, is it? It's do not fear because I'm with you, isn't it? There's a real assurance there that God's with us. So I think that's one of the key ways in which you can sort of help you not to fear things in order as being afraid of things. What else is there? I mean, another famous one in the Bible about not fearing is Joshua in the Old Testament, when Joshua was about to go out on this huge, scary, outnumbered battle.
Joshua, we've been reading Joshua.
Yes, we have.
I can't believe Joshua. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of that's just dark, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And God's asking him to take on all this stuff because he sort of took over, didn't he, from Moses, and to lead the people into the promised land, to sort of defeat all these nations on the way. And it says, have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. So it's like a command, isn't it? And that's actually helped me, because it just come into my head that years ago, when in my previous life, when I just started this new job I had for Ofsted and stuff, and I was very
Do you work for Ofsted?
nervous about doing an inspection. It was my first school inspection, and I had about the confidence of a gnat. And I just thought, and it wasn't long after my first husband had died, and this was just a really difficult time for me. And I was really struggling with my confidence as to how, this feeling that I'm, imposter syndrome, whatever it was, I can't do this. And a friend of mine, very dear friend of mine, just kept giving me this verse. She said, you need to know this verse, because when things threaten to overwhelm you, isn't it? Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you. So I just found that really reassuring. So that certainly helped me in my journey.
We do need to constantly remind ourselves of those things as well, though, don't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So there's a note in from Kate there.
Yeah. Yeah, so having just had a health scare, I found holding it up to Christ and trusting in him really helped. Yeah. Because I think it's hard to do that sometimes, because I think all our instincts are to just worry about it or try and minimise any potential impact, or isn't it? I think that's often our first instinct. It can be anyway. But actually, it's like giving it up, isn't it? When you hold it to him, you're sort of inviting him in with it, and inviting his comfort and just trusting in him, the fact that we know that he's in charge of it as well.
See, I think all these words that you find, aren't they just words, though? Do you know what I mean? It's just biblical text saying, how does that translate for someone with little faith or none? How does that work? come on, squad, because I know we're all Christians on this call, but maybe someone who's kind of thinking, what the faith are they on about? Yeah, like, I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's about the practical sense of how this works. Do you know, I remember when I first became a Christian, and loads of people started sending me loads of wonderful notes and told me how much Jesus loves me and all this sort of stuff, and I thought, this is great. And about 2 weeks in, I said, right, okay, so yeah, what's the real stuff I need to realise as well? What's the hard truth that I need to get? This isn't that simple. There is some complexity behind this. So I'm just wondering about that. Is that when you're going through fear, in some sense, is there practical steps people can take when it comes to faith, do you think? I know Kate's comment there is saying, she found holding it up, and I guess holding it up is praying to the Lord, and I guess you were praying before the I guess examination or whatever you had done for that. So I'm guessing you're praying for that. I mean, I've said in the past that prayer is fantastic, and I've always felt better after prayer. So don't ask me why. Because I pray, and then afterwards I always feel better. And maybe it's because, I don't know, not that I'm a fantastically mature Christian or anything or like that, but having prayed is one thing I would say is a practical sense of something that can help you when you're in a state of fear.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So holding it up.
Yeah, and I think, well, there's
Here's a good one.
Oh, go on.
Here's a really good one. Nice one, Kate.
Yeah, reach out to like-minded people for support, as I did. Do you know, that's exactly what I was going to say, but not in those words, Kate. Obviously, great minds think alike. I was just thinking back, because I say it isn't just about your own prayer, it's just about, often it's talking with other Christians helps. Like that example I said about when I was having that difficult time in my job, it was somebody else giving me that verse. And I've helped somebody, this is years ago, just a friend of mine who's a Christian, because she phoned me because she was actually just in a huge panic. Her eldest daughter was having her first baby, and there was like a history in the family of problems with babies and deliveries. And she was just in this huge flap. And all I did was talk to her about, talk it through with her and just say that God wouldn't want her to feel like that. And, it was just a conversation. And I know that she still tells me remembers how that helped her. So I'm not trying to big myself up. I'm just saying, if you talk to somebody, because I've been on the receiving end of that, as well as trying to help other people as well, that I think that is one of the key ways that you can find that, that peace rather than fear, that you can help to sort of conquer the fear really and find the peace.
That's interesting. I love that. Reach out to like-minded people for support, as I did. Yeah. So I'm just thinking that from someone who might be tentatively looking at the prospect of faith. Yeah, is talk to Christians then. Have a chat with somebody, if you know somebody, if you're just looking for a first time, or just watch us and watch some of our content. It's great. But if you're thinking, how do I deal with that? I mean, it's a good point. You can, if you know somebody who you think is someone who's spiritual, has faith, then speak to them and maybe if you're not sure about praying, that you ask someone pray for you.
Yeah.
That might be a good thing. But I suppose I think when I came to faith, when I started exploring faith, I was in a pretty low place, and I think this is often a place, often a way where people often come to faith. How many times can I use the word often there? People come to faith, or some people come to faith because they've kind of hit rock bottom and found faith. And I think there's you could probably explain why that is. I think because people are more susceptible or open to the prospect of the Lord. Do you know what I mean? And in their own, whatever, their own collapse or something, can open themselves up to the prospect of that there is a God and there is Jesus. That was the point I was going to make. Was do this. It's about prayer. Yeah, see, I remember going to I went to a course actually. What was it called? The Alpha course. The Alpha course a popular course, I think. I remember being told go home and pray, and I thought, what? But actually, there's no rules or regs. There's nothing or whatever. You could say, hey up, God.
Yeah.
Hello, mate. How's it going? However you want to communicate with him, just close your eyes and try and make that connection. And just say, I'm really worried about this.
Yeah.
And, just help me see a way forward, or just ask for a blessing on this, or, whatever you feel comfortable doing, give it a go, Like I say, I always feel better after prayer.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Well, I think, for me, I just think, because the Bible's so full of, like, examples of people being told not to fear, or seeing what happens when, even like, there's plenty in the Old Testament, even the Joshua thing we talked about, but, like Mary, when she was told by the angel said to her, do not be afraid, Mary, you have found favour with God. And then there's the stories where Jesus tells people off for being afraid, like, when he walked on water, where's that one gone? I had that written down. Hey up. Anyway, yes, it's when he calmed the storm. He rebuked.
So was that when he was in the boat?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the disciples, he was asleep on a cushion in the boat, and the disciples had woken him up and said, don't you care that we're dying? There's this huge storm and all this thing's happening. And so he calmed the waters, and then he just said to them, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? So that's because they'd been with him and they'd seen him do all these miracles and they knew what he did. And yet, in a crisis, they were still entirely dependent on their own things. Because I think we do that as well, definitely. I know I can do that as well. Even though and that God's the one to answer. So when there's a crisis, you still go around a little bit like a headless chicken sometimes before coming to realise that actually what you need to do is just to have some faith and to pray, maybe to talk to the Christians, whatever. But I find what we can see in the Bible tells us about faith and the fact that we're not meant to fear, or Jesus doesn't want us to fear. What he wants us to do is to trust in him. And that is hard, isn't it? But that's what he wants us to do. So
it's well, it can be a nightmare. It can be really hard. I think coming to faith isn't like, I'm a Christian today, my life's fixed. It's all sorted. It's a journey until the day you die. Absolutely. And I think for a long time even when faith developed in me, for a long time I still tried to do things in my own strength. And I know Christians now who try and do things in their own strength. And you kind of think, should I do this? Should I do that? And actually, it is hard. It is hard. But yeah, I think that's a really, speaking to like-minded people, holding it up. So you're thinking, look at Scripture then. So So definitely, if you're a new Christian or a tentative Christian, and you're looking for a Bible perhaps to have a look at, what's a useful Bible to get is like an application study Bible.
Yeah.
That's a really good Bible to get. Just look it up, you'll find something online. An application study Bible is really good because what it tends to do is talk to you about what the Scripture means and what it goes into depth about what certain bits of Scripture means. And I know that you can go on some of these Bibles, you could look up the word at the back in something like an index, like fear, and it'll give you reference points throughout the Bible of elements that you can look at where they discuss fear. I mean, you can look up, there's tons and tons of stuff in the Bible you can look at, and there's like some sort of text in there that says it can deal with that. So hurt, theft, anything, some of our sinful thoughts, that sort of stuff. You can look those things up, and there's something in the Bible to help with that.
Yeah. There is, and there's things that everybody knows, like Psalm 23 that most people know.
Well, let's assume that not everybody's Christian.
No, I know, but even people who aren't necessarily Christian have often heard it because it comes up so much at funerals and stuff.
That's true.
It's just that it says, even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. So it's that same theme, I think, goes all the way through the Bible, that we don't have to fear because Jesus is with us.
But it's interesting how that's used at funerals, isn't it?
It's a comfort, isn't it? It's a real comforting psalm.
Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the key thing about what that's used in funerals. But when you the version you just read is that when you're walking through life, and all manner of grim is coming at you, all the deepest, darkest, rubbish stuff that fills you with dread, fear, and all that sort of stuff, and worry and anxiety and stuff. That is the key thing about Psalm 23, isn't it? Is that you have the Lord on your side. And you can turn to the Lord, and He's got you. He will look after you.
And it's like understanding how much He loves us as well. There's two things to it, isn't it? Not just knowing He's with us, but understanding, like He said, I have called you by name, you are mine, and knowing what Jesus has done for us. All of that is part of knowing how much He loves us.
Yeah.
Because when we know and believe that helps us to trust us and not to fear, isn't it? So it's all part of that picture, isn't it, about faith, I think. There is the thing about fear of the Lord. I don't know if you want to talk about that as well.
Yeah,
because that's a different fear, isn't it?
Because it is a different fear,
so,
isn't it?
just to complicate things, because the fear of the Lord isn't about being frightened of the Lord, is it? It's now Kate found us a good definition of that. So let me just find it. Fear of the Lord is a sense of awe and submission to a deity. A sense of awe and submission. So it's not about being afraid. It's just about, I suppose, for me, it's like recognising the awesomeness and the mightiness of God. Because so it's not saying, oh, I'm afraid of what God would do. But actually, if you know how more awesome and amazing God is, it's part of faith for me, isn't it? It's like, that if God's asked you to do something, or your confidence in what God can do in your life, isn't it? If you know how awesome He is, then that's part of that fear of the Lord. What does it say? The fear of the Lord's beginning of wisdom. So once you realise how enormous God is and how wonderful and amazing and awesome and beyond our comprehension, I think that's part of faith. That's all. I think that's what that is for me, anyway.
And Kate's just affirming what we were just saying, that when you're walking through hell, keep walking. I'm with you.
Yeah, I'm with you. And the other quote that I know that Kate found for us as well from 2 Timothy 1, it says, God did not give us a spirit of timidity, but a spirit of power, of love and self-discipline. So it's about what God's given us that we can combat fear with as well, isn't it? He doesn't, because when you're fearful, you're timid, aren't you? And you're trying to hide away, but He didn't give us that. He gave us a spirit of power and love and self-discipline. So all the things that faith can help us with, isn't it? Stop us from being fearful.
Let's go back to that fear thing, the fear of sense of awe and submission to a deity.
Yeah, it's like the definite,
So those who fear the Lord,
because if you don't, I don't know, I understand that, because it's not like, if you don't have that sense...
It's a question, right? I don't know how you felt as a child, or anyone else in chat, but did you fear your dad when you were younger? And I don't mean you were frightened of him. I think this is a sort of a connection as well. So I had a fear of disappointing my father, and I think I also had a fear because I had such a huge respect for him. I think there's a similar thing going on here. It's not that he frightened me. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there was an authority about him that kind of made me sit up and pay attention. Do you see what I mean? There's a different kind of thing.
Yeah, I get that.
Now, I don't know if that's similar in modern day, since when I was little, have all parents gone soft or, whatever. Do children have I suppose could you argue that's a healthy respect?
Yeah, I think so. It's an awareness of who somebody is, isn't it? I suppose in relation to you. I mean,
See,
this is not just your mates or whatever, or someone you can just be, say anything bad to or good to. It doesn't matter. If this is your dad, it's a similar sort of thing, isn't it? This is our heavenly Father, who is our Creator, who's awesome, who's Lord of the universe, and sent His Son to earth. When you know all of those things, and like beyond our knowing, isn't it? It's this awesomeness about God as well, I think.
See, and I think that when I think of parents, and I think my mum. So your mum is the soft, squishy thing, isn't she? And you've got her apron tails to grab hold of and give you a hug when you bash your knee. Your dad's the one that says, "Come on, get up. Come on, get up." And there's something about the difference, really. I mean, I don't know what's a modern parent.
Joan's here.
Oh, Joan's here.
Hi, Joan.
Hello, Joan. Let's bring in the chat from Joan. What's she got? Unfortunately, in this day and age, there is little fear of the Lord, as though a lack of true understanding people have trivialised.
Okay. Yeah, I think Joan might have a point there. I don't think there's a lot of emphasis on the fear of the Lord, is there? The awesomeness of God and yeah.
Hello, Joan. Glad you're here. Missed you.
Yeah. Exactly the sort of, what do you call it? The person of God, I suppose. The amazingness of who God is.
But do you think that's? See, I suppose in some respect, I suppose that this comparison I'm doing between natural parents, I suppose, and our Heavenly Father, do people, are people's relationships with their parents in somewhat trivialised in some sense as well, Joan? Do you think?
Joan's put another comment up, Alex.
Oh, let's have a look. God and want to squash him into a pint pot. I don't understand. Do you?
I think so, Joan. You have to correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's about that people's vision of God is too small. That he's, nobody focuses on the real sort of enormity of God and who He is and how awesome God is, and that all links up with sort of trust and obedience, isn't it, as well? If we don't have that fear of God, then. And it's not a fear, but it's like I don't know. I'm trying to find some words for it.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
How could you? Yeah, the sort of horror of offending God, if you like, and a horror of not obeying, isn't it? Because not just because He loves us, because He does, or what Jesus has done for us, but because God is so awesome as well.
I pressed the wrong button. I only got part of the comment. I tell you what. Let's take it down. You carry on with the comment.
Did Joan want to phone in?
I don't know if you phone in. Joan, do you want to come in on video if I send you a link? You come in on video
or
if you
audio
want.
if you don't want. If you're any jammies.
Or you can come in, yeah. I can send you a link. You connect on your phone. I don't know if you saw this last week. We're coming in on VBIX Call like you did for Sunday service. If you want to join us and talk to us, you can do that. I can send you a link in chat. Look, I'm going to go back while she's writing that. There's I don't know if it's me, because of course I can only talk about my relationship with my father, and I kind of sensed about what she'll come in on audio. All right, Joan, I'll tell you what. Let me copy the link for you. Copy the link. If I put this in chat, Joan, if you click on it, you should be able to join. I've got you muted already, so when you come in, I can have you come in, and I'll sort you out just audio. So, yeah, I think when I was younger, I had a greater sense of respect for who my father was, what he stood for. And I don't know what kids are like nowadays, or if that's different. Do people have the same sort of respect? Do you know what I mean? Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I can never quite tell. Hang on, caller one. Let me check that she's coming in. I'll put that over there. And yeah, if Kate or Jacqueline wants to come in, give us a ping. Just send in Messenger. Just send in the message that you're here. So I've got a call connected. Right. Let's switch the audio on for Joan. And audio. Right. Let's switch the audio on for Joan. And audio. Right. Right. Okay. I'm getting a loop back on Joan's audio. So what can I do with that? What am I sending to that? Let me just check something. Caller one. Audio source. Right, master. There we go. You're just getting master. Right, try now. Right, master. There we go. You're just getting master. Right, try now.
Okay, what am I supposed to be doing here?
Right.
Okay, what am I supposed to be doing here?
It's still looping.
No, this isn't working.
Oh.
So, what are you on, Joan? You on your laptop? I can't hear it because otherwise I'm getting a loop back. I don't know why I'm getting a loop back from you, Joan. Hang on. Caller 1. Caller 1. Oh, hang on. I think I've done the wrong one. Audio master. Let's try that. No, that's not got audio. This one definitely has. Right. Try and talk to me now, Joan. Oh, she's gone. I'm on my laptop. Oh, okay. I think the audio... Okay, Joan, I think the audio coming out the speakers in your laptop is coming back through your microphone. You'll either have to put some headphones on or use your phone. Oh, she's come back. Let's see what happens. Oh, no. Kate slept in instead. Now Joan slept in. Right, hang on.
You've got
right.
everybody's coming at once.
Stop. Right, okay. Joan, you're back. Let's see what happens. Caller Joan. Hello, Joan. Joan's gone. Right, Kate, if you want to come in, yeah, you come in on this one. So as you can see, Joan on my laptop. This one coming in after the comment, I'm on my laptop. You come in on that one, Kate. And then we'll still if we can get Joan in as well. Right, Joan's trying to connect, I think.
Okay.
Sending reply, initiate. Sorry, it's complex. I'm going to have to... Right, call connected. Who's that? That's Joan. Right. Hello, Joan.
Right,
Hey.
Who's that? Joan. Right. Hello, Joan.
Hey.
Who's that? Joan. Right. Hello, Joan.
Hi.
Hey.
Hello, Joan.
What on earth's happening?
We're just getting a
Could
loop.
Joan switch the noise off on her laptop, the volume? Would that not solve it? No.
Yeah, but then she can't hear us. She needs a pair.
Okay.
What she really needs is a pair of headphones. Right, hang on. Right, I'm bringing Kate in. See, I've got the same problem. Kate, talk to me.
Hiya, how you doing?
Fine.
Perfect.
Right, you're working great. So it's the problems with Joan on the fact that it's a microphone is picking up her speakers.
Right.
That's the problem. Right, Kate, do you want to come in and be visible?
Whatever you want, you know me.
Okay, right. So let's see. I'm going to bring you in. You're caller 2. Let's go to show.
I don't look brilliant though, because I've just come in from the rain.
Well, that's all right. Let's see. Okay, you don't actually look like you're wearing anything. Is that okay? Okay, that's fine. All right, let me see if I can bring caller 2 on Elaine.
Is that
Caller
better?
2. How are we doing? Caller
that
2.
better?
Joan.
You seem a little...
Hang on, just wait a minute. This is fun, isn't it? Right, wait a minute. We're gonna have a big conversation a minute. Right, there we go. Let's bring that in.
Hey, we got Kate.
Hey!
Right. Okay, there's Kate. Fortunately, I'm here because Joan's actually come up behind that, and fortunately, I'm covering up the Joan bit. We'll sort Joan out. Right, Joan. Okay, I've come out as it's all too complicated. We'll work on this. Okay, Kate, you're back. Go for it. How long we got?
You just said everybody else wanted to come in, but...
Yeah.
Yeah, you were saying about kids nowadays, and a lot of them don't. They answer their parents back. They disrespect them. Some of the language they use to them.
Didn't they always do that though?
Gosh, no. I wouldn't have dared answer my mum back.
Yeah. See.
Not unless I was on another continent. Even now, I wouldn't do that. And she's so poorly, she couldn't do anything about it, but I still wouldn't dare.
Yeah. Yeah, there's sort of that sort of fear, isn't there, of parents, which is a mixture of respect, isn't it, and knowledge that if you don't do what's right, you might be in trouble, type thing. Because I don't think Faith is quite
one
the same.
second. I'm going to do something here. Right, don't go anywhere, Kate. So
Are you bringing Joan in?
No, and then I'm going to get rid of that, and then I'm going to do this. There you go.
Ah.
Right, off you go. You carry on, Kate. I'll sit in the background.
But I think it's the same with the police and things like that. You know, people had a greater respect than they do nowadays. But then they had a few more. They had more. You knew that if a policeman caught you doing something, he could chastise you. Whereas nowadays they can't do things like that.
Yeah.
So you knew to behave yourself. So you had a respect. Oh, yeah, you had a fear of them, but you had a respect of them as well.
Yeah.
And
So it's
a
just
lot
slightly
of that has
different, isn't it?
gone.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing for Faith. People have, like Joan was saying, they trivialise it so much, and they try to put him in a pint pot and squash it all in, and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
You've got to
Yeah.
let him out and let it be awesome for it
Yeah.
to be able to get
Yeah.
what his message is.
Yeah, it is. No, I agree, Kate. And do you think like that the fear of the Lord, because I just when you talking about parents, you're sort of bringing in this fear with parenthood that I think is a punishment, isn't it? You're going to get into trouble. It isn't quite the same with faith, isn't it? Is it? But I don't know. I'm trying to define it, but there's not. I mean, I don't obey because I'm going to get into trouble if I don't. It's a different motivation, but there is still this thing, I suppose, in faith about ultimately, you know, Judgment Day and stuff, isn't it? That actually, but it's not the same thing because that's about standing
No.
before Him, isn't it? And saying what we've done with what He gave us, which isn't the same thing as parenthood, but it's, you know, there's some overlap. What's Joan said? Problem now is that due to corrupt people in high places, we no longer have any respect for authority. Yeah,
I think
that's what you're saying, Kate, isn't it? As well.
I think there's part of that.
Yeah.
But I also think the world's become a bit too soft. You know,
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, but I think with faith, it's a case of, as you say, on Judgment Day, we want to be able to stand before Him and say, "Look, we are worthy of you. We have tried to use what you gave us
Yeah.
for your glory."
Yeah.
And I think that's the fear of letting Him down
Yes,
and
it
not
is.
having
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think that's where the fear of the
yeah.
Lord comes from. Will we measure up on Judgment Day?
Yeah, we don't. If we have that relationship, then we don't want to let Him down, do we? You know, if our lives are devoted to serving and
Yeah.
doing what He wants us to do with them, basically. Yeah, yeah. So that's interesting, isn't it? That because culture's changed. Yeah, that actually that's
Yeah.
had an impact on how people see faith, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's a hymn, isn't it? Our God is an awesome God. I used to sing it was at
Yeah.
Sunday school.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
is. I
remember.
love that
Our
one. Yeah.
God is an awesome
He's an
God.
awesome God.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I do get a sense that you know, my time frames from birth, I guess, is from the early 70s. That over time, you know, you got to remember people and punishment, and even to the point where parents punish their kids. You know, is it quite the same as it was 30, 40 years ago? You know, I always think that, you know, my old man, I remember a story being told, you know, if he got caught scrumping, you know, or something like that, I can't remember what it was, but something, you know, and he, you know, a copper would grab hold of him, take him home, and you know, it gets sorted, you know, and
Yeah.
even he would give him a clap round the back of the head and say, stop buggering about. Do you know what I mean? And it's almost like, you know, our world being so easily offended, or our world being so you can't do that, or you know, it almost makes it impossible, really, for people in just the natural order. But then, you know, is some of this stuff right? Is it gone too far? How does it work? And I think that's what I talk about when I think about the world softened too much. So of course, you know, there's that kind of thing, and I think that partly affects families as well. You know, like you saying, Kate, that you know, you listen to kids nowadays and the way that they talk to their parents, and you think, you know, you would never have done that. So if it's the natural order, how is it that I can compare my relationship with my father when I was young? Probably in some sort of sense of huge respect for my dad, a sense of authority of him. I feared him because I knew what he was capable of. I wasn't frightened of him, but I kind of knew what he was capable of. And I think we know that in the sense of God as well. We know what he's capable of. You know, you have to look at, I don't know, half the Psalms, you know, and look at the Old Testament. We know how powerful he is. and we know how powerful he is. He created everything. But the thing is that if you don't have that sense in normal secular world, how can you kind of take that on board and even develop that kind of healthy fear for God in the first place? Jones put another thing up. Let me just chuck this up. I think we're running late.
We are running late. We need to finish in a minute.
We'll finish. Get you finished on a prayer. So, oh God, it's great big bar, higher than the mountain, lower than the sea. Oh, okay, so she just got the lyrics. So that's part of the thing I think about is without this healthy fear.
Yeah.
And it is a healthy fear that we have, which is created through authority. So if it's the police, you have a healthy fear for police. Although you could argue, what was it, Jones saying about corruption? Let's just bring this one back up. Corruption in high places, and we see the corruption in the police forces from time to time. And I'm not saying that I agree with that. I'm not going down that route at all, because I think our police are fantastic most of the time. But and maybe this all links to media and all these sort of things, but there is this unhealthy lack of respect for authority now. And I think that stems from the home, or doesn't stem from it, but it affects the home, and it affects every kind of walk of life. And I think it can affect our faith.
Well, definitely, because that's like how the whole world's changed, hasn't it? It's gone from, because now it's all about you being in charge of your own destiny, isn't it? And all this sort of thing, and therefore it's harder to believe in what Christianity is, isn't it? Which is about surrendering your life and your thing to God, isn't it? And to Jesus. It sort of goes against the grain, I would say, according to where culture's gone.
I think the one thing I will say, though, I'm going to bring me in, Elaine, just hang on a sec.
Yeah, because we do need to finish, don't we?
Bring me in, silly for a second. I think one of the things I don't want to say what I've just said and kind of say that verbatim, because I don't know if that's true. I think it's kind of what I might see, because I'm not suggesting for a minute that we don't have young Christians. We do have young Christians as well. So it makes me wonder about how things are for them in their relationships with God, and whether they have that healthy respect. It'd be interesting to ask them, see how that works. Right, Kate, I'm going to come back to Elaine so she can finish up on a prayer. There we go. I'll bring you in. Kate, we'll catch up with you next week. We'll catch you on Sunday. So I shall bring this in, and we'll drop Kate there. All right, thanks, Kate. We'll just mute her. She's gone. Okay, Elaine, do you want to... I'll bring me in on a 4, so that's me on 3. There we go, not that
There's
one.
Joan.
No, it's not. You didn't see Joan.
Like Joan.
You didn't see Joan. That was an accident.
I did.
That was an accident. Okay, I'll just skip that. Should we finish our prayer?
Pray to finish. So, Heavenly Father, we just thank you for all these discussions we've had this evening, the chance to talk about this important subject of fear, Lord, and also what difference it makes knowing you, Lord, knowing what an awesome God you are, Lord, and what you've done and did for us in sending your Son to earth to die for us, Lord, and so that we would know that you're always with us, Lord, and we don't need to fear. So I just thank you for the discussions, Lord, and just help us to take from it what's important, Lord, and what you want us to take to heart, and what you want us to consider, Lord. And we thank you for that, and we just ask for your blessing on everyone here, in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Yeah, Lord, we do pray for Joan, for Kate, and for Jacqueline, and for anyone that watches this broadcast later on Catch Up.
Yes.
That they gain something from it. Lord, I'm really loving W.T.Faith, and I know it's at a really early stage in its inception, but Lord, I just pray you bless this content and help us to develop this further, because I think this is a great piece of content that we could develop and make a really, really popular piece of discussion. And it's great we can bring people in. Help me to, work out the tech and make this better, because I do think this could be really good. And again, I just echo the things that Elaine says. We give you thanks for the opportunity to broadcast and share with people, Lord. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Right, everyone, if we don't see you on Sunday, actually, we won't see you Sunday.
Well,
note Sunday. So Jenny is service leading on Sunday. So
yes.
We will catch you next Thursday. And in the meantime, have a great week.
Yes, bye.
That's no good.
What isn't?
We're still live as well. Don't worry about it. Why is that not starting?